Welcome, everybody. It's our last candid conversation of 2024, and I am Reverend Abigail Schairer. It is my pleasure to be one of your co-hosts for our candid conversation this evening, and just really excited about this one. I think this is going to be a deep and rewarding conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton to my co-host, Stephanie Ann Johnson, and they are going to kick us off with a great prayer.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being there, gentle listener, wherever you are. Um, Please make yourself comfortable wherever you're sitting. You can close your eyes if that helps you, or keep them open if you would prefer. Let's take a deep breath together. Spirit, my higher power, the universe. I'm so grateful for this moment, grateful to be with people I trust, to have conversations about who we are and all of the wonderful things that we have in common and the wonderful things about us that are unique and yet to be explored between the three of us and every ear listening. I'm so grateful for all of my blessings, all the things I can't name right now that are splendid in my life. So grateful. All these things I lift up. Anything that is unaddressed that needs addressing, I call that to the forefront of your mind. Um, Thank you so much. And so it is.
This-
All right. Shall I start with introducing myself and my um what are we calling these? What do we call these? Our
Identities.
identities. Perfect. Thank you so much for the reminder.
Mhm.
I have a lot of identities, and the things that I love about having all these identities is that it helps me find overlapping common ground with other people that I share identity with, right? So for ethnicity, I am a Black American. I'm part of the African diaspora. Sexual orientation, I'm a bisexual, pansexual, this kind of thing. I'm attracted to the person and the energy. My level of education, I have a BA in English. I would definitely call myself middle class, but that privilege is definitely from my family. It's something I've inherited. My body size, I'm an average body size. I am able bodied currently. I'm solo poly, but my marriage status is technically single. My spiritual identity, I mean, I guess raised, I'm the more I look back at it and the more I read, evangelical, but the spirituality I find is really all about the oneness that I find with other people and nature itself. And I really enjoy being at Centers for Spiritual Living, which is where I met you, Pastor Abigail. Would you like to talk to us about your identities?
Yes, absolutely. So my ethnicity is my history is that I am of German and Irish and Prussian ancestry, and I um, am qualified as the white race, which I think I've said before is really a social construct. So it has nothing to do with my genes uh, and my historic ancestors, but it does have to do with how society treats me and gives me privileges. And my gender is female. I was born female, and I'm currently, I identify as female. So my pronouns are she and her that you can greet me with or refer to me to. And my age, I'm 45 until a couple of months. Soon I'll be 46. But right now I'm 45 and my sexual orientation is lesbian. I am currently married to a woman who is a Mexican American citizen. So she's both a Mexican citizen and an American citizen. And so we are in an interracial marriage, and I've gotten a master's degree and in consciousness studies, which is great. I love that. I kind of skipped over the bachelor's degree though, so I had, that's a story for another day. But and I would consider myself middle class, financially comfortable, and grateful to be there because that was not always the state of my financial experience. And my body size is average. I would say my physical ability is that I'm able-bodied, um, and yeah, not experiencing any physical ailments at this moment. So I'm very grateful. And I identify as a religious science minister, which is what Centers for Spiritual Living used to be called. It's religious science, but they changed the name to Centers for Spiritual Living, which I appreciate because that is much more in alignment with my belief system, where I consider myself either trans denominational or interfaith, multi faith. I grew up Christian. I studied Taoism and paganism as my main sources of study in my life, and I identify with those philosophies along with Buddhism as well. So I got a little bit of everything, and I'm grateful to be in a teaching that is open at the top and welcoming of all of that. So that's a little bit about me. And I think one thing to mention is that even though we may have similar and different identities, that um, we're all more than all of these identities. That's something I just want to say. We're this and. Um, so I'm excited to introduce our guest today. We have Renee Parmenter, and she's here today. She's been a congregant at Center for Spiritual Living Seattle for about 2 months, and somebody who I think is amazing and fascinating and inspiring. And I'm actually really excited to be in this conversation to hear more about her story because I haven't heard it all. So this is a great opportunity for me to listen and learn and hear more about another's experience in life. So, Renee, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Renee Permenter. I am a 35-year-old multiracial, native Spanish and a little bit of like a European mixture going on, German, Dutch, and French. Um, so I'm a 35-year-old multiracial, heterosexual, trans female. Um, I go by she, her pronouns. Um, I'm pretty physically able, so um, I about a year and a half ago I had a personal record of 405-pound deadlift and 315-pound squat. So very able. Average body size, maybe a little bit more on the bulky side, but that's comes with the territory. Um, I have a business management degree, and I am currently single. Let's see, what else? I just landed my first job that's going to take me on the track to getting me out of the lower class of the whole financial status and whatnot. So I'm very excited over that. And finally pursuing my whole career path that I've been wanting to go down for the past few years now, but I haven't really had the opportunities until recently. So jumping on it now and running. And my religious and spiritual stuff, pretty much anything earth-based. You kind of touched on it with the paganism. I've dabbled with a few different religions. I come from a very, very, very strong background in Christianity, more specifically Baptist, but found it didn't really align with what I believed. It was more something like, oh, my parents believe in it, so I got to believe too. And just didn't really resonate with me as much. So I've dabbled with a little bit of Christianity, Asatru, um, the Red Road, the Native Walk, paganism, a little bit of all of it. So I really find that nature based is kind of where I like to stick, because there's a lot to be said in the woods or in the natures and of wherever you're at, gardens or even in the grass. Like if you're laying down in the grass, look down and see what you see. There's a lot going on down there. I think I covered everything. What else?
So if you would talk to us a little bit about your story, focusing specifically on, at least for me, it's one of the burning questions for me. I love to ask a lot of different people. How do you experience spirit or the divine?
Ah, so me specifically, um, I I typically will experience that while I'm doing some form of meditation. I have different ways of doing that. So in the mornings, I usually take very long showers, anywhere from half hour to an hour, depending on what I'm doing as far as like manicuring and whatnot. So that's like one of my main meditation times where I'm really kind of in tune with spirit and how it's moving in my life and where it's guiding me. Um, I've come to learn through doing this that I'm more of a free spirited person. So I'm relying on spirit throughout my days to kind of guide me wherever I go. Like, for instance, like if I lose something, right? If I misplace something, a lot of people will get into this chaotic mindset like, oh my God, where is this item? I can't find this item. I learned that I'm just one of those, okay, if I was meant to have it, it'll come back to me. And 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what happens. Like I had dropped a keychain of mine that was very important to me, um, lots of sentimental value. And when I had noticed that it was missing, it was one of those, all right, if I was meant to have it, it'll come back to me. Spirit always takes care of it, right? And about 2 weeks later, I was cleaning my car and I happened to move the mat on the floor, and there it was. So just going through the day and allowing spirit to kind of just take over, you know? So and then the other one is through like walks in nature and stuff like that. I just went on a 4-hour hike in, I want to say Snoqualmie. It was the Talus Trails. And that was very liberating. That was the first time I was ever able to see Seattle and Bellevue in one camera shot.
Oh,
So
wow.
the whole city of Seattle, the whole city of Bellevue, you could see them both. It was awesome. So
I haven't
yeah,
done that one.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a cool one. So on one side you see like the city in the background, just like city, 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 right? And then if you turn to the left, nothing but nature, hills
Mm,
and mountains and trees as far as the eye can see. It's the best of both worlds, I guess you could say. That was
yeah.
very cool. But yeah, that's how I experience spirit. That's, yeah, man, I have a lot of emotions right now.
I love that.
I do too.
Well, one of the reasons for all of our listeners and watchers out there that I asked Renee to come and be our guest is because she's experienced something that I think is very unique. Not only is she a trans woman, but she came out as trans while incarcerated in a male prison. And
Yep.
yeah, and one thing I just want to acknowledge you for, I love your connection to spirit and your trusting and knowing, and I think that that's really beautiful. Um, and I'd love to hear your story about, how this unfolded for you, and um, maybe even where spirit was in it for you, if you had that connection at the time or not.
Yeah. So at the time, I didn't realize that it was spirit, right? I didn't realize that that's what was guiding me. Um,
Mm,
and so for the first few years, it wasn't spirit guide me, and it wasn't that stereotypical, like prayers and, you get it, right? It was more just like, this is what I'm going to do. And I started kind of, well, let me back up. I completely walked away from religion, completely walked away from it. I had
mm,
experienced so much stuff that it put a very bad taste in my mouth when it comes to any kind of religion.
mm,
And even my friend, when he was telling me about CSL and wanted me to come to CSL to experience this with him, um, it took him a lot to actually get me to agree to walk through those doors.
mm,
So he told me, just make me a promise. I said, you tell me what the promise is first. He says, okay, give it 3 days. Come to CSL with me 3 times. And if you still don't like it, you don't have to go.
mm.
And I agreed. And we're now more than 3 times in. I want to say it's closer to 3 months now that I've been going to CSL. The people are great. The atmosphere is extremely welcoming, very positive. I can't help but feel at home.
Mm,
So it's the reason I keep coming.
it just warms my heart to hear that.
But yeah, so coming out in a male prison, I mean, it kind of went through this whole, like, the whole thing. So it started out as, oh, you're just some fag that wants to be different. You just want the attention. You just want that. You just want that. And what they didn't understand was that I was at a point in my life where I was ready to commit suicide, like
Mm,
attempt for the third time. The first 2 times, obviously, I failed. The I was getting to that third time where I mean, I had a stockpile of a lot of heavy medications, from Prozac to amitriptyline, um, you name it. I pretty much had a stockpile of it. A good, God, 70 or 80 pills. And something told me, like, you failed the first 2 times. You obviously don't know how to do what you're trying to do. So maybe you need to talk to somebody. And so I did. I talked to a mental health professional while incarcerated, and she turned out to be a very, very welcoming individual. Uh, she had disclosed that she had multiple trans people on her caseload.
mm,
And I was like, so I'm not the only one? What are you talking about? And so she really encouraged me to continue coming in and seeing her, but she moved it into weekly meetings instead of monthly, which was the typical schedule for individuals who are involved with mental health care. Um, and so I did. And I kept talking about what's going on. And the more I talked about it, the more I understood, like, that's really what's been getting to me over the years. That's what's been bringing me down. I haven't been able to express myself. I haven't been able to be myself. You know, it's
mhm,
always been this facade that I've been expressing to people. You know, I had to be that uber masculine individual. I had to do all of the masculine jobs to prove that I'm a man. That's not at all the case. Uh, I did understand later on in life that that's also a part of me. I went through that. I have to be a prissy girl. I have to not get dirty. I can't lift all the heavy things. I can't do anything masculine.
Mm.
And I realized my value of authenticity was not being met at all. And so I stopped caring about what people thought of me. I stopped caring about the little snickers that I hear, about the little comments, about all of the things you could possibly think of. It was going on and amplified being in there. I still like working on cars. I still like building things with my hands. I still like welding. I still like doing hair. I still like doing nails. I still like the makeup. I like all of the things, right? So there is no male and female when it comes to interests. It's what do you like? Cool, do it. And so I did. And crap went sideways for a second or two once people really understood, like, this is really what she's doing. Okay, let's knuckle down on this. People started getting very aggressive. They started getting handsy. So I guess you could say,
Yeah.
well, you want to be a woman, I'm going to treat you like a woman, and this is what women get. No, no, honey, that's not what we're doing. That's when I really started like, okay, you're not ever going to take advantage of me again. I went through enough of that crap with my stepdad. So you're not going to do it. And I will prevent you from doing that by working out. And that's where I started doing my whole kettlebell everything. I did kettlebell everything. Turkish get ups with 115 pounds, kettlebell swings till I vomited, blisters on my hands the size of quarters. Like, I was dead set on nobody being able to take advantage of me again. So I did. And then I liked it. People finally come to understand that they're not going to mess with me. And so it finally died off. I gained a reputation of being fairly professional and true to myself. And I learned that when I was really true to myself, people really respected that. I started becoming more involved with advocacy with Disability Rights Washington. They are an amazing organization. And I wound up getting involved with a lawsuit against DOC where we sued them to change policy, to change everything, structures of the prison, allowable items for trans females, because we didn't have any clothing that was in alliance with their gender. We got staff to be hired on that specialize in transgender healthcare. And we got a little bit of money out of them. That all went to DRW to further their organization's goals and stuff like that. But yeah, I got involved with that, and things kind of really exploding from there. More people started becoming involved with me that turned out to be amazing resources. I got in contact and became actually close friends with the CEO of Incarcerated Productions. And man, one, the woman is amazing at doing her jobs. Yes, I pluralize that because she has many. And two, that girl can cook. Oh, we definitely spend a lot of time cooking when I'm over there, um, along with work and all that other stuff. So I actually have another project going on with her right now. um, so yeah, fast forward. I come out in 2016. I decided to cut my hair for the last time, January 1st of 2016, and I was going to come out when I got out of prison. That didn't happen. I was actually um, outed by another trans girl in there. And at first, I was kind of upset, but I'm very glad that she did it because it's liberating. You know,
Hmm.
I wouldn't have been able to achieve the things that I achieved had she not done that.
Now,
So,
is your family accepting of you, or
yeah, um,
yay?
kind of for the most part. I come from a very southern family. I was born and raised in southern New Mexico. And so, I mean, if I showed you pictures of my grandfather, I mean, he's got the whole Wrangler cowboy boots, cowboy hat, button-up shirt vibe going on, and my whole family's like that. So at first, when I came out to my older brother, he proceeded to tell me I was an abomination to God and that I am going to hell, and there's nothing for me on this planet.
Hmm.
I was like, cool, deuces, have fun. I'll be here if you want to talk, but I'm not going to sit back and tolerate that kind of treatment. And so we distanced ourselves for about a year and a half. Kept posting on social media, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And he finally wound up calling me again after that time and was like, listen, I owe you an apology. I was very afraid of my own closet, and come to find out, he is a cross-dresser. So he
Hmm.
will roam the town of Clovis in female clothing and makeup and all that other stuff. And I'm like, cool, man. Awesome. Come out. um, and my other two brothers, both younger, at first was kind of like, I don't know, bro. I don't know how that's going to happen. I was like, well, again, take it or leave it, and just continued being who I am. They eventually came around, um, and my my older of the two younger brother, him and I got pretty close. He was the one that I was most worried about because he's the one that adopted the super redneck personality from his father, who's an abusive alcoholic.
Hmm.
And so that's one I was most worried about. And we're cool now too. So, but my mom was welcoming from the get. She's like, it'll be hard to get used to calling you by Renee, but I'm down. Let's do this. So,
I
but yeah.
love that. One thing that I think is really important for people to know is that people do change. It's
Hmm.
just, that's the good news. Is yeah, we change, and so often, not always, but oftentimes the people who love us, when I am my authentic self, people start loving me for who I am, and it's not always easy, but I really encourage anybody out there who's questioning or is hiding from themselves, to let you know that on the other side there's hope.
Very much so.
Yeah, and
Well,
there's
so,
communities of people and support out there too.
yeah, once I really started focusing on living by my values of honesty, authenticity, and self development, and like really living by them, don't just claim them. I'm not just claiming them, I'm actually living by them. Things really started changing around. People started coming into my life that I never would have expected. Things started happening in my life that I just would have never expected. But it's because I stopped forcing everything. I stopped forcing that facade to be out there. And I just started being me. So
Yeah, and I have to say, the fact that you were a catalyst for prisons to change. I mean, what you went through, I don't think I'd want anybody to go through, is to endure abuse and being grabbed and having, not cool things happen. Um, but because you stood in your authenticity and you are who you are, you created change and transformation for others who are coming after you. And I know a lot of people don't think about it, but oftentimes when there's something challenging happening in life, it's because I think on a soul level, like I agreed to be part of a transformation that I wanted to happen in the world. And sometimes it means we're the ones who were like kind of the, I don't know, the sticking point or the challenging place where it kind of is the catalyst for it to happen.
yeah,
So I just want to give you big kudos, like good for you. And I'm really grateful that you chose to do that instead of leaving this planet.
yeah. I'm glad too. Yeah, it was through reading a lot of books though that I was able to get past that mental anguish that I was going through. Brene Brown is an amazing trauma author. Bessel van der Kolk is probably the one that helped me the most, just because what he does aligns with both me as a person, physically and spiritually. So he used to be one of those pill pushers, and he had a pill for everything: depression, anxiety, uh, trauma of any kind, basically anything he had a pill for. And then he realized, I'm just treating the symptom, not treating the problem. So kind of switched it up and went more into a holistic approach where you're treating the mind and body at the same time, because they're both connected, right? And so really got involved in EMDR and stuff like that. And that's where my introduction to EMDR came into play. And through that EMDR treatment, I was finally able to get to a point where the traumas in my past didn't affect me like they used to.
Mm.
Every once in a blue moon now, they'll kind of flare up, but I use tools that I learned in CBT classes and EMDR to kind of put those up with, put them in my suitcase. So one of my little tools things is like when I'm going through these mental breaks, I guess you could say, where I'm experiencing everything again, I'll stop and kind of put myself in my mind. I'll put myself in a car driving next to a river that has suitcases on the top. And when I get to a point where it's kind of hurtful, right? And my life is playing in the river like a film reel, except yeah, it there's no water. The water is a film reel. And when I get to those traumatic parts, I'll imagine myself cutting out that reel, stitching the life back together, and putting that little painful part in my suitcases on top. And I'll continue watching my life go by.
Mm.
And then when I get calmed down enough, I'll take those reels out and I'll kind of pick them apart. Why did it hurt? What specifically was it that hurt as I was thinking about that? And just keep reminding myself that it's okay. I'm still alive. I'm still here in the present. I'm still surrounded by spirit and those who love me, and kind of gets me through it. So yeah, sorry, it's just
Yeah.
like a whole thing.
Yeah, no, that's great. And we're coming to the end of our time, if you believe it. So
Oh,
I want to
gracious, that went
pass,
quick.
I know. So I want to pass this over to Stephanie Ann, see if you wanted to just give any reflections, because I seem to have taken over today. So
Me too.
I I really loved hearing about your story. I also do CBT, and I also have done EMDR in the past, and it really has helped me after also some traumatic events. Um, and I recently finished reading a memoir from a woman who had escaped. A high control religion, and like extreme Christianity, and she talks about finding the spirit in nature, and finding feeling of being at home when the wind comes through the trees and this kind of thing. And uh, I definitely feel you, Renee, on a lot of the visualization you were talking about. That it helps me feel like I have agency in my life. Um, uh, and one other thing that's non-connected, but at CSL recently, folk have started saying, welcome to CSL. My name is so and so. My pronouns are they, them. And it really, like, for me as a non-binary person, it really, it helps me feel considered, even by my spiritual leaders. It helps me feel considered, that there are more than just male and female people here, that there are all kinds of people here, and we welcome them all. So I really appreciate that. And again, Renee, thank you so much for being so open and so willing to talk to us and share with us.
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. And we're going to move on to this time in our show where we actually talk about what we're up to. So Renee, will you share what you're up to, where people can find out more about you?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So, I mean, there's a good place to start. I've posted a few videos on TikTok, and but yeah, right now I just started my first job in my career path. I'm in the sheet metal union now. So finally landed my first job. It's almost 60,000 a year. So yay.
Woo!
Yeah, I know, right? It's only up from here. And currently I have a little side project going on with that close friend of mine that we cooked together, with Unincarcerated, the podcast. It's actually really, really positive stuff. Basically shows um, transformations from individuals coming out of prison and what it was like for them while they were in prison. Or I think they did an episode here not too long ago about the technological divide, right? How there's not a bridge from inside to outside that help individuals navigate today's society in a tech driven world. So there's individuals on there that were 20 plus years in prison and getting out, going from no cell phones to computers in your hand. So,
Yeah,
yeah, if anybody wants to check it out, it's called Unincarcerated, the podcast.
awesome. Thank you, Renee.
Yeah.
And I have something that I'm doing in November. On November 30th, I'm going to be having a Sister Spirit Day retreat. And that's happening at Center for Spiritual Living Seattle. So you can go to spiritualliving.org and go to the events and services and scroll to November 30th. That's when the day retreat is happening. And it's not just women who are invited, it's people who are non-binary too. So anybody who is gender fluid, gender rich, or non-binary is also welcome. We will not be talking about our wombs or anything. We'll just be talking about, we'll just be having a safe space for women and non-binary folks. So You're all welcome to check that out. I'd love to see you at sisterspiritretreat.org is another place where you can find out more about it, or at spiritualliving.org. So that's one of the cool things I'm up to. And Stephanie Ann, I hear you're going on tour. You got stuff that you're doing.
Heading
my
out
birthday.
to yes, heading out to Montana next week. Prayers up for me as I travel. Please and thank you. I appreciate all of your wonderful good thoughts and good messages throughout the week. And then also December 8th, as was said, which is also Renee's birthday. We're going to be down there in the sanctuary at CSL. Jake Seeley will be there on keys, and we'll have some of the band there as well. And we're going to have a funky good time. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think we're going to call it the Soul of the Season concert. So looking forward to that. I can't wait. So you can find out more, get tickets online at spiritualliving.org. And again, scrolling to the events in December for December 8th, that's where you can check out more about it. So, oh my goodness. I wish we had more time, but we do have more time offline with each other, which makes me happy. But for all of you folks out there in the world of the internet and beyond, I'm so grateful that you tuned in, that you listened to our YouTube and podcasts that we have going on. And we'll see what Stephanie Ann and I cook up, if we cook up anything next year. But for now, we're capping the end of our Candid Conversations for 2024. I'm really grateful to have you all.
Can
Want to
I?
say something, Renee? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to leave them with a quote. It's
Sure.
actually my favorite quote, and I'll probably get it tatted on me at some point. It's by Kevin Hearn, and it says, "Love is a thing freely given and just as freely accepted or rejected. It is by degrees of love that we wither or blossom, and I suspect this holds true in both the giving and receiving."
I love that.
Me
Well,
too.
that sets me up for the closing prayer. So thank you.
Mhm.
Hmm. So I am just going to settle into that space, recognizing and knowing that for me, love is another name for God, for spirit, for source. And whenever I am really tuned in, I love myself and I reflect that love to people around me. And so I know that this infinite love that really truly is infinite connects all people, all places, all things, both animate and inanimate. I believe that love flows through all. And so I recognize and know the love around me. I appreciate the love that touches my heart and soul for each and every person who reminds me of who I am. And I'm so grateful for the love that I get to share out in the world, and it returns back abundantly to me. And so I know and claim that this love is awakened in each and every person who hears these words, that they remember who they are, that they are part of a divine tapestry, and that they are valued and valuable and inherently belong. And for that, I'm absolutely grateful. And so I release this prayer knowing that it is already done, that the infinite presence is here, loving each and every one of us exactly as we are and exactly as we are not. And so it is.
So it is.
And I do want to do one quick thing. If anybody out there is in crisis or considering suicide, that truly there is help. You can always call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 because you are worth it. And if you use Renee as an example, that there is something here for you to express in life, and we want to have you here. So anyway, with that, I will stop the recording and say goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.